Ever feel like AI is taking over the world and you're missing the instruction manual?
Ah,
Well, today we're diving deep into the brain of one of the biggest players, ChatGPT.
that's right.
We've got all of your research articles right here,
Lots of research?
and we're going to distill it all down into pure, understandable gold.
Yes.
By the end of this deep dive, you will be a ChatGPT whisperer, ready to get started.
Absolutely. Let's break it down.
Our main source for this deep dive is a piece called Understanding Large Language Models and Their Applications.
Great piece.
And one of the most fascinating things I learned is that ChatGPT isn't, say, a solo act.
Right.
It's actually part of a whole family of AI.
That's right. ChatGPT is what we call a large language model, or LLM.
Okay.
And there are tons of LLMs out there right now.
Really?
You've got Gemini, Meta AI. Even Elon Musk has one called Grok.
It's like an AI popularity contest.
Yeah.
I was blown away to discover that there are websites like Chatbot Arena that actually rank all these different models.
Yeah. Chatbot Arena. It's a great resource because it highlights the strengths and weaknesses of each AI.
Yeah.
So you can decide which one's best for the task you're trying to accomplish. But for today, let's focus on ChatGPT.
Sounds good. So one of the things that really surprised me while reading through all of your research is that ChatGPT has a knowledge cutoff date.
Yeah.
It's like it's stuck in a time warp.
It's true. ChatGPT is trained on massive amounts of data, but that data has an expiration date.
Really?
So anything that happened after that date, ChatGPT is totally unaware of.
Why is that? Does it just take forever to catch it up?
Well, it's a technical limitation.
Okay.
Basically, training an AI like ChatGPT requires feeding it a snapshot of data from a specific point in time. Updating that knowledge base with new information is a really complex and time-consuming process. It's not as simple as just plugging it into the internet.
Okay. So if I'm trying to have a conversation with ChatGPT about current events, I need to provide it with all the background information.
Exactly. You need to think of ChatGPT as a brilliant friend who's been living in a library for the past 6 months.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Incredibly knowledgeable about everything up to that point, but you need to fill them in about anything that's happened since then.
Got it. Okay, so we need to be ChatGPT's link to the outside world.
Precise.
Okay. Now let's get a little bit techie here.
Yeah.
How does ChatGPT actually process language and understand what we're saying?
Well, it all comes down to these things called tokens.
Tokens, like
Yeah.
those little plastic chips you get at an arcade.
Not quite, but
Right.
imagine you're reading a sentence, right?
Okay.
To you, it's a smooth flow of words and ideas. But to ChatGPT, it's a series of individual units.
Ah.
And those units are the tokens. Words, punctuation marks, even parts of words can be broken down into tokens.
So it's like taking a sentence and chopping it up into little pieces.
Exactly. And ChatGPT's job is to analyze the sequence of those tokens and predict what token should come next based on everything it's learned.
So it's kind of like that game where you try to guess the next word in a song.
Kind of like
Yeah.
that. But obviously, on a much more complex level, ChatGPT has an incredibly nuanced understanding of language patterns and relationships.
You know, I was playing around with this tool called Tick Tokenizer earlier,
Oh, yeah.
and it actually lets you see how any text gets broken down into these tokens. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
And kind of addictive, to be honest.
I know, right? It's so interesting to see how ChatGPT sees language differently than humans.
Right, yeah. And all this processing is happening within something called a token window.
The token window.
So this window has a limited capacity.
Right.
So with each new chat, the window resets.
Yeah, think of it like short-term memory.
Okay.
Once the conversation moves on ChatGPT, forgets what you were talking about before.
That's why providing context is so important when you're interacting with ChatGPT. You're essentially reminding it of the key points from the previous conversation.
Exactly.
Okay, so ChatGPT has a knowledge cutoff date. It thinks in tokens, and it has a limited memory. Is there anything else we need to know before we move on?
Well, this might surprise you. ChatGPT's training actually happens in 2 distinct stages.
2 stages. Tell me more about that.
The first stage is called pre-training,
Okay.
and it's kind of like cramming for a giant exam. ChatGPT is fed massive amounts of data, text, and code from all over the internet. And it absorbs all of this information, building up this vast knowledge base.
But that knowledge is frozen in time
Right.
because of the knowledge cutoff date.
Exactly. Pre-training gives ChatGPT this broad understanding of the world, but it's a snapshot from a specific moment.
Okay, so what happens in the second stage?
That's called post-training.
Okay.
And that's where things get really interesting.
Ooh.
This is where ChatGPT learns to be more helpful, more conversational,
Yeah.
and more aligned with how we humans expect it to respond.
So it goes from being a walking encyclopedia to something more like, well, a chatbot.
You could say that. And what's really fascinating about post-training is that it involves feedback from real people.
So there's a human element to all of this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Humans are involved in shaping ChatGPT's personality and refining its responses. Wow.
To make it more useful and aligned with our expectations, we're essentially teaching it how to be a better conversational partner.
That's pretty cool. So ChatGPT has this vast knowledge base. It's learned to communicate like a human. But there's one more thing that really blew my mind.
What's that?
It's basically an AI island.
You're right. ChatGPT doesn't have access to the internet.
Oh, wow.
It can't use a calculator.
Yeah.
Can't Google anything.
So if we want it to use any outside information or tools, we have to be the ones to provide it. Exactly. Think of ChatGPT as a brilliant chef who's stuck in a kitchen with only the ingredients you give them.
Okay.
They can create amazing dishes, but only with the resources you provide.
That's a great analogy. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground in part one of our deep dive.
We have.
We've learned about ChatGPT's knowledge cutoff date,
Right.
how it processes language using tokens, the 2 stages of its training,
Yeah.
and its limitations as a self-contained system.
It's a lot to take in.
We're just getting started.
We are. Welcome back to our deep dive into ChatGPT.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground already, but let's recap quickly for anyone who is just tuning in.
Yeah.
ChatGPT is a large language model. It processes language using these things called tokens.
Right.
And its training involves 2 stages,
Yes.
pre-training
Right.
and post-training.
Exactly.
And importantly, ChatGPT has a knowledge cutoff date
Yes.
and exists as a self-contained system.
Right.
Okay. So now that we've got the basics down, I want to know, how can we actually use this knowledge to get better results when we interact with ChatGPT?
That's a great question. And this is where things start to get really exciting. We need to remember that ChatGPT isn't a magic genie. It's a powerful tool, but it needs our guidance.
Okay.
You know, we need to understand how to use it effectively.
So we need to be the ones to give it the right instructions, almost like we're its project manager.
I like that analogy.
Oh.
And there are a few key strategies that can really make a difference.
Okay.
First, we need to be specific with our prompts. Instead of just asking ChatGPT to write a poem, we should tell it what kind of poem we want. The theme, the tone, the style.
So it's like giving ChatGPT a detailed creative brief
Exactly.
rather than just a vague request.
Precisely. The more information you provide, the better ChatGPT will understand what you're looking for.
Okay.
And it can then use that information to generate the kind of output you're hoping for.
Okay.
Yeah.
So be specific. Got it. What else?
Well, remember how we talked about ChatGPT's knowledge cutoff date
Yeah.
and how it doesn't have access to the internet?
Yeah, it's stuck in its own little world.
Exactly. So if you need ChatGPT to work with recent information or specific facts that might not be part of its training data,
Okay.
you have to provide them.
So if I want ChatGPT to write a summary of the latest news about a new tech gadget, I need to give it the details about that gadget first.
Yes. Think of it like this. You're giving ChatGPT the pieces of a puzzle.
Okay.
You provide the context, the background information, the missing pieces, and then ChatGPT can use its incredible language abilities to put those pieces together and create something new.
I'm starting to see how this all fits together. Be specific. Provide context. Any other pro tips?
Don't be afraid to iterate. ChatGPT is a learning machine,
Okay.
and it can take a few tries to get the results you want.
Right.
Experiment, try different prompts, rephrase things, see what happens. The beauty of ChatGPT is that it's incredibly versatile.
So it's more of a collaborative process?
Exactly.
Rather than just expecting ChatGPT to nail it on the first try.
Absolutely. And the more you interact with ChatGPT,
Yeah.
the better you'll understand how it works and how to get the most out of it. You'll start to develop a feel for what kind of prompts work best and how to guide it towards the results you're looking for.
Yeah, we've talked about how ChatGPT is this self-contained system,
Right.
but there's this whole world of other AI tools and technologies out there.
There is.
What if we could combine ChatGPT's language abilities with those other tools?
Now, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's something that researchers and developers are already exploring. Imagine combining ChatGPT's ability to understand and generate human-like text with real-time data, powerful algorithms, and even physical robots.
It sounds like we're entering the realm of science fiction.
We might be closer than you think. Imagine a world where you could ask ChatGPT to analyze a huge data set,
Okay.
identify trends, and then write a report summarizing its findings,
Wow.
all in a matter of minutes. Or imagine ChatGPT controlling smart devices in your home, responding to your voice commands in a natural and intuitive way.
It's like ChatGPT goes from being a solo artist to becoming the conductor of a whole orchestra of AI tools.
That's a perfect analogy. And think about the incredible symphony they could create together.
Wow.
The potential for innovation is truly limitless.
Okay, so as we wrap up part 2 of our deep dive,
Ah,
I'm feeling incredibly excited about the future of AI
me too.
and all the amazing things that we can achieve with tools like ChatGPT.
It's really incredible.
But as we move forward, I think it's essential to remember that AI is a tool.
It is.
We need to be mindful of how we use it.
Absolutely.
That sounds like a great topic for part 3 of our deep dive.
It does.
We'll be right back after a quick break. We're back for the final part of our ChatGPT deep dive.
Yeah. It's been a great conversation.
It really has.
Yeah.
We've talked about how ChatGPT works, how to use it effectively.
Right.
We even got a glimpse into its potential future.
Its future is bright.
But now I want to step back
Yeah.
and think about the bigger picture. Where does ChatGPT fit into the world? What does it mean for us as humans?
Wow. That's a big question.
It is.
I think ChatGPT and AI in general represents this fundamental shift
Okay.
in how we interact with information and technology.
How so?
Well, we're moving from a world where we have to learn how to use computers to a world where computers are learning how to understand us.
That's a really profound thought. It's almost like we're creating a new kind of intelligence.
Yeah.
One that can communicate and collaborate with us on a whole new level.
Exactly. And I think that's both incredibly exciting and a little bit daunting.
Yeah.
It's like we're standing at the edge of a new frontier,
Yeah.
and we're not quite sure what we'll find there.
It makes you wonder, what does it mean to be human in a world where AI is becoming increasingly sophisticated? Are there things that AI will never be able to replicate?
That is a really interesting question.
It is.
And it's something that philosophers and scientists have been grappling with for decades.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, think about it.
Okay.
There are certain aspects of human experience,
Oh.
things like consciousness, creativity, empathy.
Yeah.
These things are still a mystery, even to us.
That's true.
Whether AI will ever be able to truly replicate those qualities remains to be seen.
It's like there's this intangible essence of being human
Yeah.
that goes beyond just processing information or following instructions.
Yeah.
There's something about our emotions,
That's right.
our intuition, our ability to connect with each other on this deeper level that sets us apart.
I think that's a really important point.
Yeah.
It's important to remember that as we develop and interact with AI, we're not just shaping technology.
What else are we shaping?
We're shaping our own future.
Yeah. So what does this all mean for our listeners?
Mm.
What should they take away from this deep dive into ChatGPT?
I think the biggest takeaway is that AI is a tool, a powerful tool, but it's up to us to decide how we use it.
So we need to be thoughtful about the implications,
Yeah.
both positive and negative.
Right.
And we need to make sure that AI is used for good, for the benefit of humanity.
You got it.
It's not just about the technology itself. It's about the choices we make,
Right.
the values we prioritize, the future we want to create. We can't just sit back and let AI happen to us. We need to be active participants in shaping its development
I agree.
and ensure that it aligns with our human values.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So, as we conclude our deep dive into this fascinating world of ChatGPT,
Yeah.
I'm left with this sense of wonder
I know what you mean.
and a renewed appreciation for the power of human ingenuity. We created these incredible tools.
We did.
And now it's up to us to use them wisely.
Absolutely. The future of AI is not predetermined. It's something we're all creating together.
Wow.
One line of code.
Yeah.
One conversation.
Uh-huh.
One choice at a time.
And on that note, we'll leave you with one final thought to ponder. If ChatGPT is a compressed version of our collective knowledge and creativity, what does that say about us as a species? And what kind of future do we want to build with it? Happy prompting.